We will be taking public comment after some of our other work and after our presentations. But I want to let everyone know now, because we have a very full house, that the council will not tolerate disruptions of this meeting during our work. There will be no conduct that will interrupt the work of this council. Anyone who is disrupting the council by shouting out or otherwise will be removed immediately. So I want to let you know that right up front. But we will be taking public comment, so you will have your opportunity to be heard later in the meeting. So with that, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
That the Armenian story is a multi-local one, in which so many of the innovations and developments have come from Armenians outside of the historic homeland. The same narratives are true for the Armenian American experience, as the hundreds of oral histories in the Institute's California History Through Armenian Experiences collections reveal, which, by the way, were made possible by the pioneering leadership of then State Assembly member Adrin Nazarian, who's here, for whom I'd like to thank and take this opportunity to express my gratitude. As the collection reveal, Armenian Americans are fiercely committed to their Armenian heritage, homeland, and values, while also being an undeniable part and fabric of the American society. Indeed, it was a group of Los Angeles Armenians from all parts of the world who sat around a kitchen table some 20 years ago, and with the visionary leadership of Charles Galian, came up with the idea of a research institute dedicated to contemporary Armenian studies. And here I want to highlight contemporary, because they saw what perhaps wasn't obvious to everyone else. They saw a fledgling independent state that was long in civilization but new on statecraft in a very, very tough neighborhood. They noticed that LA was an Armenian epicenter in the making, with the most diverse, dynamic, and vibrant population in the Armenian world. They saw a university that was in the heart of LA and saw itself as the place where game changers and change agents are fashioned, where real impact is not just dreamed, but made, where dreaming about the future is not fantasy, but accessible through education and networks.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to give a shout out. Today is Renters Day here in the city of Los Angeles, Renters Day 2024. And we have a lot of renters here who have been powerhouses in making sure that as a council we can establish strong renter protections, and we're going to need them to continue to move forward. So thank you so much for being here. We would not be here without you. I just want to again lift up Renters Day here in LA 2024. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you so much, and welcome everybody to Los Angeles City Hall. All right, we will call names. You can line up.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
What items are on there?
So for everyone, the items that are open for public comment are 24 and 25, as well as 48 through 58, and general public comment.
Item 24, item 25. Item 24, I'm for this project, for this item. Item 25, I'm for too. General public comment.
Okay, go. You have 2 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
I just did the items. I want general public comment. Okay,
so
I had a birthday 2 days ago, 60th birthday, 2 days ago. I feel good about my 60. I had a birthday on Wednesday. I wish we could have celebrated at the chamber, but you guys were on break. And I don't see my councilman here. Oh boy, that's it. Thank
Happy
you.
birthday, Sean.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Robin Line. I'm a member of SCOPE, and I live in District 9. And I'm here to support Hillside Villa tenants on item 57. We urge you to cancel their debt. I also want to talk about my experience as being devalued as a tenant in the city of LA. I know that landlords are incentivized to push out long-term tenants so they can make more money. They are pushing out because of their greed. I have personally experienced the harassment of my neighbors, having watched landlords willfully neglect the upkeep of our building, becoming slumlords, and even go as far as towing their tenants' cars conveniently when rent is due. As a renter, I do not want to live in fear of homelessness so that landlords can make more income. That's why I'm here to ask for better protections against predatory slumlords and to cap rent
General public
increases
comment?
by 3% in RSO units. Thank you so much. Good afternoon.
Buenas tardes, soy Adela Cortés, soy del Hillside Villa.
Good afternoon, my name is Adela Cortez and I'm from Hillside Villa.
Quiero que nos hagan, que nos ayuden. Le están dando mucho dinero a ese señor es muy malo.
I would like you to help us. You're giving so much money to this guy and this guy is a very bad guy.
Nosotros tuvimos un evento el sábado y contrató a un señor que es el manager, es muy malo, nos tiró las sillas.
We had an event on Saturday and he hired this guy who is the manager and he's really mean. He threw away all our chairs.
Y a una de las que estamos viviendo allí la amenazó, le dijo que le iba a traer a sus amigos del este, que porque él es chicano. Y es muy malo ese señor, nos saca fotos, nos pone casi en cara, y a mí nos dijo que nosotros venimos a este país, unas malas palabras me decía, y entonces le dije, tú me estás sacando fotos, yo también te saco, no te tengo miedo, lástima que eres un hombre.
Espera un segundito, señora. So, and this guy threatened one of the persons that live here in the same building with me, and he even threatened saying that he has some friends on the east side and there are Chicanos and this guy is really bad and he's all the time taking pictures of us and telling us that you come from these countries, and he swore and said a lot of insults. So I told him, if you take photos to me, I will take photos to you as well. Continúe, señora.
Y dice, yo puedo hacer lo que yo quiera aquí en el edificio porque a mí me están pagando.
And he said, I can do whatever I want here because they are paying me.
Y estamos yo vivo en el 104 y yo no quiero que esté al pie porque él vive en el 108 y yo le tengo mucho miedo a él cuando yo lo miro.
And I live in the apartment 104 and he lives in the 108 and I am like really scared of him whenever I see him.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Ana Chan y yo vengo a hablar acerca del desalojo para inquilinos.
My name is Anna Chan and I'm here to talk about the evictions for the renters.
Okay. Este es un comentario público, o sea, general, que dice, como inquilino en esa semana como inquilino, exigimos al ayuntamiento que apoye las 7 enmiendas de Tajo.
Un segundito, señora. This is a public comment, and we're here as renters to ask you to please support the 7 amendments.
Para que los inquilinos puedan usar la ley para defenderse y evitar que los malos propietarios nos acosen en un esfuerzo por desalojarnos.
So we can use this law to protect ourselves and to defend ourselves from the really bad owners of these buildings, and so that way they cannot harass us.
Sin tener una razón, sin tener que llevarnos a asistir a una corte.
Without having to go to court.
También tenemos que cambiar la fórmula del LARSO.
And we also need to change LARSO.
Si obtenemos un aumento de alquiler del 8 al 10%.
If we receive an increase of rent from 8 to 10%.
Que eso significa un desalojo legal para miles de angelinos.
That this means an illegal eviction for many people in LA.
Especialmente para las personas mayores que viven con ingresos fijos y familias.
Especially for the elderly who live with families and set salaries.
Apoyamos
Su tiempo se le ha terminado, señora, lo siento.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexis Paulino, and the item I would like to talk to is 57, public comment.
Okay. We have 1 minute for the item.
Thank you. I urge the City Council to help pass the fast food fair work ordinance. I am a current McDonald's worker right now on strike due to retaliation from my managers and just overall general safety issues. Our staff are not trained in knowing their rights and not trained on how to handle proper situations involving violence with customers or other staff members accordingly. We ask that with this ordinance that it helps to essentially assure that our management will help train us properly and how to de-escalate certain issues involving customers or with other staff, and at the same time help us know our rights that we have, and so ensures that we avoid further issues. Thank you.
Good afternoon. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you would like to speak to.
Good afternoon. 57 and public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public
Thank you. Dear council members, do you remember when you lifted all the tenant protections? You did it without having a plan B or C to protect the tenants that were behind rent. Let's keep in mind that we were following government orders to stay home by COVID. As of right now, we have more than 80,000 evictions filed. Most of them, tenants don't have legal representation. If you multiply 80,000 by 4 times, then you clearly see that 340,000 people that are going to be at risk of becoming homeless. You haven't been able to address in a tangible way to current 77,000 homeless brothers and sisters are currently on the streets. We need to keep people housed. We need social housing. Affordable housing is not the solution. HACLA and East LA Community Corporation.
General public comment, go ahead.
HACLA and East LA Community Corporation is a nonprofit that keeps getting funds to build affordable housing, but they are evicting tenants. They are discriminating tenants, specifically families with children, tenants with mental illness. We demand the city council address the crisis of rent debt with solutions that will keep tenants housed. We demand an end to tenant harassment and skyrocketing rents by implementing the Keep LA House proposed amendments to Tahoe and Larso, including a 3% cap for RSO rent increases, and we demand a release of our ULA dollars to fund tenants, protection programs, and social housing. And we need it now.
I'm here to support the tenants at Hillside Villa. I'm a proud student of the Eviction Defense Network's Tenant Empowerment Program. I have overcome my fear with knowledge and support from EDN staff and fellow TEP students. EDN has 12 students in court today being counseled in pro per. 3 of them are starting trials. EDN is struggling to shift the calendar to get lawyers on board to handle the trials. 47,625 families faced eviction last year in LA County. We need a statutory right to counsel to prevent homelessness, displacement, gentrification, and all the anxiety, health issues, as well as mental health impacts that come with fighting evictions alone.
If you allow me, I would like to speak on all items.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Again, that's items 24, 25, and 48 through 58, and then 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
I really wish if you can understand you correctly, but you keep speaking English. It's not something I don't understand. Thank you very much. Item number 49. I saw they were talking about the sidewalk cleanup, bulky item trash pickup. That is something I want to talk about. It's really concerning. This item is only applies to Council District 5, because what I see, the dirty street, trash, everywhere, city of LA. And then it is my understanding that even if you use the 100% city budget to clean up the street, and you still do not have enough money, you still do not have enough manpower, because the dirty street problem has been ignored years after years, decade after decade. And then right now, you guys are trying to pick up the trash. It's way too late. Move on to next item. Let's talk about item number 54. 54, similar to item 49, 54, which is properly located right there due to presence of excessive trash and debris, storage of junk in operable vehicles. Again, to repeat, those problems are not District 15 only problem. Those problems are every single district problem. And then I would argue the district who need the most assistance in this kind of areas regarding the trash, the junk, the inoperable vehicle will be the Kevin De Leon district, because that's the Skid Row. We have mountains after mountains of trash. Nobody do anything. And then let's talk about item number 57, which is my favorite council member Hernandez, which is the rate increases. For many times, the first year when I arrived at the city of LA, I have to contact the council member's office, and then I'm asking for assistance. During the COVID, I am scared to become homeless. I'm scared to end up on the Skid Row. I'm scared of being no food, no water, dying on the street. But phone after phone, communication after communication to my council member's office, I receive absolute silent voice. Maybe I'm not Hispanic enough, maybe I'm not black enough, maybe I'm not Caucasian enough to get any special services from my council member Hernandez. And then for my general public comment, I want to make an apology to my council member Hernandez, because several weeks ago I was so concerned, I was so frustrated, and then I believe I used the term 500-pound object. And then I want to apologize to council member. My supervisor, Mr. Candido, told me that that is not a professional. That is not something a real man will do. So today I come here, I listen to the advice of several LAPD officers, several of my friends.
This is not on any
Candidos.
topic in the jurisdiction of the LA City Council.
I am giving an apology during my general public
This
comment.
is not on any topic in the jurisdiction of the City Council.
I am providing an
This is
apology
not-
during my general public comment. I am still having a general public comment. I'm doing the general public comment. So can you restore my timer?
That's your time. Thank you.
Mi nombre es Eva García, soy organizadora de Colectivo Poder Comunitario.
My name is Eva Garcia, and I'm an organizer from Colectivo Comunitario.
Y estoy aquí para, como el Día de Inquilinos, decirles que es importante tomar en cuenta que no debemos sacar a ninguna familia a la calle.
And I'm here to tell you that it is important that we do not remove any family to the street,
Aún con deuda de renta.
even if they have a rent debt.
Como ser humano tenemos que vivir en un hogar digno.
As human beings, we have and deserve to live in a good place.
Nuestros inquilinos viven en unidades inhabitables y todavía con el miedo de perder su vivienda.
Our tenants live in an inhuman place, and they even fear not to have one.
Es importante mantener toda nuestra comunidad en una vivienda.
It is important that our community stays in a house.
Como concejales les pido que busquen los recursos para que puedan haber un cancelamiento de deuda y nuestra comunidad quede en sus hogares.
As council members, I ask you that we find a way to cancel all debt and our members can stay in their homes.
Okay, ¿quieren ver más las calles con más gente viviendo en la calle?
Or what, do you want to see more people living on the streets?
¿No se tocan el corazón que están muertos en vida?
You can touch your heart, say, are you dead and you're alive?
Hasta yo me siento injusta teniendo un techo.
I even feel unfair having a house.
Caminar por las calles, el centro tan bonito, antes de llegar en el centro, en la área de MacArthur Park, es una tristeza.
walking on the streets in downtown, the downtown being so pretty, but then going to MacArthur Park, it's very sad.
Llegas a las 6 y por la San Pedro por ahí, otra gran tristeza.
General public comment.
Vaya al comentario público general.
Entonces, por eso les digo, necesitamos vivienda para todos, saludables, vivienda social.
That is what I'm saying. We need housing for everyone, healthy ones, and social housing.
Y pedimos que apoyen a la ley Orso.
And we ask you to support Lorso Law.
Porque si permiten que se levante la renta a un porcentaje más de 3%, van a haber más gente viviendo en la calle.
Because if you allow to raise the rent for over 3% higher than what it is now, then you're going to see more people living on the streets.
Esa ley la queremos no nada más para las áreas de la ciudad de Los Ángeles.
We need this not only in the city of Los Angeles.
También para las áreas no incorporadas. Pónganse en contacto con el condado para que puedan trabajar en conjunto, porque ningún lugar merece, ningún ciudadano merece vivir con miedos de perder su vivienda.
We also wanted for the incorporated places from Los Angeles, you need to work collaboratively with the county, and you need to work with them so everyone in the community can have their own housing.
¿Qué es eso de pelear leyes? En este lado sí tienes protecciones, en este lado no tienes protecciones. Eso no es justo. Todos merecen tener un techo seguro y digno con protecciones.
What is that in some places you have some protection, in some other places you don't have a protection? What is that? You all have the right to have a good living place.
Las leyes deben ser parejas para todos.
Laws should be equal to everyone.
Y ver personas que no tienen ninguna protección a punto de perder su hogar nada más porque el dueño quiere sacarlas, no es justo.
And it is very unfair to see people that they're about to lose their homes just because they're not protected. That is not unfair. That is not fair.
Como políticos ustedes deben cuidar su comunidad porque para eso están aquí. Les exijo que se conjunten con el condado para poder lograr leyes para todos.
Your time has expired.
Su tiempo se ha acabado.
My name is Bijan. I'd like to speak items 57 and general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment.
Right now, working class communities in LA are also facing a near genocidal project that aims to displace them from their homes, that aims to bulldoze their homes because developers still have impunity for their actions. We're going to keep pressing council member to take swift and bold action to make sure that rents aren't increased so that elderly folks and folks on fixed incomes can stay in their homes. We're going to keep pressing you guys so that there are stronger consequences for landlords that do unconscionable acts against tenants, and so that rent is canceled for those who have incurred debt up until 2024. And want to encourage and demand that we convert that debt to consumer debt so that thousands of tenants who have debt will be protected and won't be kicked out into the street. We want to demand that they cancel rent for the Hillside Villa tenants, and even though thousands of dollars of rental assistance, it's a small but not sufficient step into ensuring that they stay housed, and we don't need to give more money to Tom Bots, who have already received $15 million. Furthermore, on this day that we're recognizing everything Armenians have been struggling against over 100 years ago for the genocide from Palestine to LA, we're fighting for the right to also remain in our communities. Taxpayers in LA send $50 million to Israel each year. We want to also demand that you pass a ceasefire resolution.
Speaker, your time has expired.
These tax dollars are directly funding Israel.
That's your time. That's your time. Please leave the podium.
Emily, and item general comment and item 57.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
I was raised in Jerusalem next to the Armenian quarter where thousands of the genocide survivors took refuge. The ceramic tiles of the Dome of the Rock is the reason my friend's grandfather, Nishan Belyan, was brought over to Jerusalem from Kotahaya, and the survival of the Belyan family from the Armenian genocide. That is the Golden Dome, the most recognizable landmark in Jerusalem. You celebrate here the Armenian culture, yet some of you took money from Democrats for Israel, the very same state that wants to tear down Al-Aqsa and rob Armenians of the preservation of the symbol of their pride, of their historical survival. In January of 2023, extremist settlers wrote racist words and phrases on the walls of the Armenian monastery.
That's your 1 minute for general public comment. Please move on to the item.
For item 57, I support because I understand what it's like to be displaced. One of the phrases for the death of Christians and their expulsion from Jerusalem. Today, my Armenian friends fight for their own ethnic cleansing in Jerusalem against settlers trying to steal their church, their homes,
So,
their
Speaker,
school.
this is not on the agenda right now, and you've
It
already
is
been
about displacement.
You've already
It
used
is
your 1
about
minute
genocide.
for general public comment.
It
So
is about you
please
need
stick
to
to the
call
agenda.
for ceasefire to stop the genocide of
Okay,
Armenians
so this is
in
not on topic. You've been
Jerusalem.
asked multiple times to get on topic. Next speaker.
My name is Fanny Guzman. I'm a renter, and I live in Council City 14. And I'm here to speak on 57 and general public comment. The city needs to do more to help Hillside Villa tenants and tenants across the city with rent debt. This motion alone will not address the over $1 million of rent debt and does not ensure that the landlord will accept the money. What the Hillside Villa tenants are experiencing is a reflection of what is happening to thousands of tenants across our city. Over $400 million requested for ULA rental assistance, and most of the families who applied didn't receive support. Low-income renters in the city of Los Angeles are facing the same struggles to remain housed and in their communities as eviction filings have exceeded pre-pandemic levels in the last year. The Los Angeles Housing Department received a total of 77,000 eviction notices. This rent debt problem has also become a harassment problem. Even if tenants can pay current rent, landlords are doing everything they can to evict people, ignoring important repairs, leaving threatening notes at doors, and verbally intimidating tenants. Furthermore, the current allowable rent increase of 4 to 6% for RSO units is hurting our most vulnerable tenants. Thousands of families have already been evicted because of rent debt, and thousands more are rent burned and on the verge of homelessness. Any increases in rents will result in thousands of evictions. I, too, accumulated a huge rental debt while simultaneously trying to survive with the impacts of the pandemic. The pandemonium impacts were emotional, mental, physical, and economical, leading to a higher risk of becoming homeless, as I am also a survivor of domestic violence. Housing insecurity and domestic violence are fundamentally linked. 57% of women say domestic violence is the direct cause of losing their homes. I am also one of the 77,000 tenants fighting an unlawful detainer for lack of rental payment, and vulnerable tenants find themselves facing the courthouse without representation of any attorney. Tenants requested $460 million from the ULA Rental Assistance Program. The ULA fund only that $30 million available, $1,000, and thousands of households are left with no option and will face eviction in the coming weeks and months. We demand the City Council to address the crisis of rent debt with solutions that will keep tenants housed, and we demand an end to tenant harassment and skyrocketing rents by implementing
That's your time.
That's your time.
amendments
Next
to
speaker.
Tahoe and Law
That's your
School.
time. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Guadalupe Romero.
Good afternoon, my name is Guadalupe Romero.
Vengo de Hillside Villa.
I'm here from Hillside Villa.
El mensaje que les traigo esta tarde es que nos ayuden a perdonar la deuda de nuestra renta, ya que nos hemos visto desde la pandemia.
My message here today is to ask you for help so you can forgive us our debt, rent debt since the pandemia.
Con ingresos muy bajos.
Because we have been making very little money.
Nuestros trabajos han bajado
Our jobs have decreased.
y pues nos hemos visto cortos con nuestro paquete y necesitamos que ustedes pongan esto en la mesa de que cancelen nuestras deudas porque los dueños de los edificios han alterado la renta y necesitamos el apoyo de ustedes.
So we are here so you can help us to cancel our debt because the owners of these buildings have altered the rents and we are here to ask you for help.
Que cancelen la deuda.
Please cancel the debt.
Por favor. Y luego nos hemos visto por medio de esa deuda en acosos.
And as a result of this debt, we have been facing harassment.
Donde el dueño del edificio ha mandado personas que nos acosen por la deuda.
Where the owner of this building has sent people to harass us because of our debt.
Porque quieren sacarlos para afuera.
Because they want to take us out.
Por favor, ayúdenos. Ustedes tienen el poder.
Please help us. You have the authority.
Yeah, I'm signed up as Jay-Z, item 57 in public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment.
Great. On 57, this is an item about rent debt. And I just want to point out that rich people get their debts forgiven all the time. We saw an example just last week in this chamber where a deal was inked that allows our landlord, the landlord of Hillside Villa, to write down debts that have been held since the building was built in 1986. $5 million in 1986 dollars. Not a penny of that has been paid back since the building has been in operation. In order to keep that building affordable, the city made a deal with the landlord that will forgive about $2 million of his debt and allows him to carry the rest of that $5 million debt at 0% interest. That same deal requires tenants to pay rent debt back with 3% interest and the threat of evictions hanging over their heads. So addressing rent debt, as you're doing today, in an emergency way, is going to require addressing systematic inequalities between renters and landlords. Honestly,
general public comment?
I'll keep going. Honestly, it's a shame that rent debt is being paid rather than canceled entirely. Our landlord got rich off of ERAP. He's already spending the $20 million that the city promised him to hire new security guards to surveil us at our meetings, and a new manager whose specialty is apparently harassing the women who lead our tenants association, 2 of whom you've already heard from today. Since the beginning of the COVID emergency that so many people still haven't recovered from financially, we've been demanding that you cancel the rent. We're given reasons why that's impossible, but when it comes time to cancel obligations of landlords, millions of dollars somehow materialize. 4 years later, we're here demanding that you cancel the debt. We know you know how to cancel the debt for rich people. Cancel the debt for tenants.
Next speaker.
Hi. I live in CD5. I was also here in November to demand council call for a ceasefire. And since then, only 15,000 more Palestinian civilians have been slaughtered. I stand here again demanding for a ceasefire. I'm a member of an interfaith coalition that has been requesting meetings with council for the past 6 weeks, and to our dismay, requests were either rejected or ignored by a majority of offices. I was born and raised in LA as a practicing Jew and as a descendant of Holocaust survivors. And to honor Armenian Genocide Month, I urge you to recognize the genocide in Palestine and call for a permanent ceasefire. My family did not survive death camps so that their granddaughter could live to see the day where the US government supported a genocide and this city stayed silent. And on item 57, to continue, I don't want my tax dollars to fund a genocide when there are hundreds of millions of dollars that can be spent to protect tenants from eviction and build public housing. We have nearly 6 people a day dying on the street. Meanwhile, 60% of all housing units in Gaza have been destroyed. Across the world, from LA to Palestine, we need to fight for people to stay in their homes and communities. And please, I urge you, not in my name, but in the name of those who have lived and are currently living through occupation and genocide, to speak with your constituents and call for a permanent, lasting ceasefire now.
Thank you.
Fuck Israel.
Before you start, pardon me, Mr. Spindler, you've shouted out once, you've been warned. Your next warning will result in your expulsion from this meeting.
Go ahead.
I'm here to speak on 57 and general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
I am a tenant in District 13. I support the Hillside Villa tenants, and their rent debt should be completely canceled. The city should stop subsidizing slumlords like bots by giving him millions of dollars at near zero interest. We need to invest in the tenants and real affordable housing, not subsidizing landlords. Speaking of subsidizing landlords, landlords don't need more bailouts. Rent relief should be paid directly to the tenants because landlords often refuse to cooperate with rent relief, and the tenant gets evicted anyways. Even when they're qualified for these rental assistance programs, these landlords seek to displace their rent-stabilized tenants to circumvent LARSO and to raise protected units to unaffordable rates. Los Angeles needs vacancy control, and we need to repeal Costa-Hawkins. General comment, there's an active genocide happening right now, and in city chambers, we're memorializing the genocide of Armenians and not even talking about what's happening in Palestine. Free Palestine and end the siege in Gaza.
I'm only going to do general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute.
Okay. Havana syndrome has been on the news. I have parts of Havana syndrome. I'm not going to defend the whole thing. I get attacked electronically all the time. I pay my neighbor $40 a month just to hold a book for me. But really, I'm paying her because I get up at night and scream. All the time I'm being attacked. So how dare them say that I'm not being attacked? I'm a part of the secular community, and they don't believe me. How dare them? I've been there 20 years. You actually tell me you don't believe me I'm being attacked? Of course I am. Would anybody like to read this book? It's about this. I'll give it to a person. It's expensive if any of you want it. But you have to say you'll read it. No? Okay, anyway, please believe me. We're being attacked with directed energy.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon, council members.
Estoy aquí para dar comentario general del número 57.
I'm here to talk to you about item number 57.
Mi nombre es Lidia.
My name is Lydia.
Estoy aquí para pedirles que paren el aumento de renta.
I'm here to ask you to stop the increase of rent.
Que cancelen la deuda.
To cancel the debt.
Necesitamos vivienda donde estemos protegidos y seguros.
We need housing where we're going to be safe and protected.
Estamos cansados de acosos de los propietarios.
We are very tired to be harassed by the landlords.
Que día a día viven acosándonos.
Every single day they are accosting us.
A nosotros los inquilinos.
They're harassing us, the renters.
Intimidándonos para que nos desalojen.
And they try to intimidate us so they can evict us.
Para poder rentar a más alto costo.
So they can rent the place for a higher amount.
Para que puedan generar más ganancias.
So they can make more money.
Porque a ellos la vivienda es un negocio.
Because for them, the housing is a business.
No un derecho humano.
Not a human right.
Y para estar protegidos necesitamos vivienda social.
In order to be protected, we need social housing.
Ya que el costo de vida es muy alta.
Because cost of life is very expensive.
Y nuestras ventas están por los suelos.
And our sales are very low.
Y tenemos familia que alimentar y mantener.
And we have a family that we have to provide for and we have to feed them.
Confiamos en su buen liderazgo para tomar buenas decisiones.
We trust in your leadership so you can make the right decisions.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Vengo a hablar del número 57 en general.
Good afternoon. I come to talk on number 57 and general public comment. ¿Nos puede decir su nombre, señora, con la que se registró?
Con mucho gusto. Mi nombre es Gabriela Orona.
My name is Gabriela Orona.
Pertenezco al Distrito 1 del este de Los Ángeles.
I belong to District number 1 in the east of Los Angeles.
Soy vendedora ambulante e inquilina.
I am a street vendor and I am a renter.
Soy discapacitada y tengo un hijo especial y también soy viuda.
I am disabled, I have a child with special needs, and I'm also a widow.
Quisiera pedirles que paren el aumento de renta, por favor.
I would like to ask you to stop the increase in the rent, please.
Ya que lo que vendo no es suficiente y tomen en consideración la economía de cada uno de nosotros.
Because what I sell is not enough, it's not sufficient, so please take in consideration the economy of each of us.
Por favor, tóquense el corazón, vean las necesidades de cada uno de los inquilinos. Ustedes también son inquilinos, pero gracias a Dios pueden pagar sus rentas. Uno no lo puede pagar. Por favor, paren el aumento de rentas.
Please touch your heart and feel into the needs of the renters. You are also renters, but you can afford it, but we cannot. So please stop the increase in the rents.
Porque todo esto afecta a los más necesitados, personas de la tercera edad, gente con necesidades especiales, madres solteras y desempleados. Por favor, justicia.
All this is affecting all the ones that are in more need, like the renters, the tenants, the people with special needs, the elderly, the single moms, the unemployed. So please stop the increase of the rent.
Nosotros somos poderosos, somos un grupo unido, somos unas personas pobres, sí, pero contra nuestra voz, arriba.
We are powerful, we are a very united group, and we are, with our voice, I want to say, just raise up.
Good afternoon. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you would like to speak to.
Hi, my name is Titus Forzo. I am a renter and I live in District 10. I am here to speak on item 57 and general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the item.
Thank you. When I began my journey of fighting illegal eviction, I was still very uneducated about my right as a tenant. I felt alone in my search for justice until I was referred to State House LA and said it is there that I finally found a genuine community and everything truly changed. I was saved from homelessness. The city needs to do more to help tenants across the city with rent debt. This motion alone will not address the over $1 million of rent debt and does not ensure that the landlord will accept that money. This rent debt problem has also become a harassment problem. Even if tenants can pay current rent, landlords are doing everything they can to evict people. They ignore important repairs, they leave threatening notes and on doors, they verbally intimidate tenants with eviction and sometimes physical harm. Carrying this rent debt has caused emotional and mental distress to me personally, as well as thousands of families that find themselves harassed daily by their landlord. Thank you.
I want to speak on 4 main issues. First, I am here to support the Hillside Villa tenants. Unfortunately, the tenants have not been prioritized. It is time that we support Hillside Villa tenants. They are elders, they have rented, they're getting evicted, they're getting harassed, no repairs have been done, and there is no reason why they should not be prioritized. They've been organizing, they've been shutting it down, and the city has failed them. The second item I'm here to speak on is the tenant anti-harassment ordinance. We need all 7 amendments, and we're ready to go. And we need to ensure that council members support by voting yes. We haven't been able to meet again with Council Member Bob Bloomingfield, and I wanna follow up on that meeting because it is very important that we have your support. We tried going to talk to a staffer earlier today and the door was locked. So we definitely wanna ensure that we follow up. The third one.
Thank you, that's.
I have a minute still. The third item that I want to speak is the LARSO formula. How are tenants supposed to pay 10% of a rent increase? Can you pay for that? You might not because you're not a renter. So I need to ensure that you listen to us, to the tenants that are being affected by this issue, and we need to ensure that we have a 3% rent increase. The last item on my last 30 seconds is what is taking so long for LA City to pass a ceasefire motion? What's the holdup? What's the holdup? We need to do that. LA is so behind, and it's quite embarrassing at this point. So let's go ahead and take care of that and ensure that no more people are being criminalized for freedom of speech. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So you have 2 minutes for the items.
2 fucking minutes of my life. So what do we got here? The BID. But I can't speak bad about it because it's Unisys and my personal Jesus, Kevin De Leon. Let's give them a hand. But I can't do it. Normally I'm against it. Now I'm going to ask, is this really true, Unisys? Do you really want this BID? Do you really want it?
Yes, I do, because my campaign
Mr. Spindler, you need
donors
to
are
address the
forcing me.
council and not individual members.
That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it about the bid. The BID, not the EIO or the DOC. I'm talking about the BID. The Business Improvement Dick. That's what I'm talking about. They shove that big dick up those property owners every year, the big DID. Now we get to 25. Hugo Stalin Martinez getting married with KFC. Katie fucking Kant on item 25. Look at this, a 10-year bid to take and shove that big, huge city black cock up the asses of these property owners because the goddamn city won't do its regular maintenance job. You see how it works? I know how this shit works. You go, well, you want our trash picked up?
Yes.
You want those homeless people out of the front of your vestibule? Yes. I'll pay anything. I'll pay you anything. Okay, you'll pay us $31,166 of fraudulent charges to do our job. Let's give these dumb fucks a hand. This is great. I love it. Keep stealing the money. Keep that shovel in the back of the head. And finally, free Palestine. Thank you.
All right. One.
Candido, sir, not Bandito. Don't insult me. Did you call me Bandito?
Hold on.
You gotta stop the chanting.
Did you call me Bandito, sir? I don't disrespect you. Don't call me.
Folks have been warned.
You disrespected that man. Come here.
We're gonna clear.
You disrespected this guy when he tried to apologize.
All right, sergeants, let's clear the chamber.
Miss Hernandez, we're sorry.
Everyone who's shouting, you have been warned to not disrupt this meeting.
You are wrong, sir. You are Martinez in the Flint.
Yes.
We'll ask everybody who's chanting to leave the chambers now.
So, as the council president has already said, you've been warned multiple times to not disrupt this meeting. We need to be able to move on with general public comment.
Sergeant will escort everybody who's chanting out.
So he has instructed the sergeants to remove anybody who is currently disrupting the meeting and chanting.
Nati Casanova, you guys see me here a lot. Items 24 and 25, these are bids, and they're aimed at improving the city, right? A lot of it's beautification. And, you know, we should be focusing on preservation, right? We need to not be demolishing buildings, especially ones that are housing people, to improve the community overall. We don't need to be demolishing SRO buildings. We don't need to be displacing people and creating more unhoused people in Los Angeles. We need to be preserving. We need to be respecting tenants. We need to be holding landlords accountable and treating, you know, especially low-income people in these housing units with respect as people. Being low income is not a crime, and people deserve to have proper living conditions. The LA Tenants Union Downtown Local is having a press conference on Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. in Pershing Square Park. Please.
This is not on the topic of the bids.
It is on. It's on the topic of improving the community. I'll leave that at that. But to move on to the next item, another part of improving community is taking care of our community,
not arresting students on colleges speaking
Speaker,
out
this is not tied
in
to
support
items
of
24 and
Palestine.
25. So we've already closed general public comment.
There's nothing you can do better for the community than to stand in solidarity with people asking for peace and asking for a permanent ceasefire now in Palestine. Pass a resolution, please. Thank you.
So would the
You've
gentleman
been
in the black...
dismissed.
All right, so we have 24 and 25. Those are bids. We have the Highland Park bid and the Hollywood Media bid. I was wondering if before you approve these motions, if you could do some investigations as to whether either of these bids have any connections or business interests in Israel. You should do that investigation before, because they should be divesting from Israel and helping to work towards a ceasefire. You should pass a motion to call for that. So we have these bids. Are they doing anything to help the interests of the community? I'm just wondering. There's a lot of stuff that could be done, protecting tenants, other things that can be done to help serve the community. And I wonder if these bids. Oh, welcome back, Curran. Did you recuse yourself properly? We have 24 and 25. Once again, the bids. So I just wonder if these bids have any interests in the community, what they're doing to help the community, because we have a ton of bids in the city, and it should be investigated as to whether these bids are helping the community or if they're just going around housing and weaponizing the police against the community and harassing unhoused people and protecting the community, protecting the business interests of the bid instead of anyone in the community, as well as what kind of connections either these bids might have to Israel or the genocide in Gaza. So all that should be investigated before you vote on these bids, because there's very little information on that. So we have so we need to do these bids. So it just seems like there's a lot of bids, and you really should investigate what's going on with them. And you should call for a permanent ceasefire. Let everyone else speak on everything.
Speaker, your time has expired. I believe I've been told by the sergeants that nobody else is here for items 24 or 25.
All right, now we'll go to telephones for 10 minutes.
General public comment.
Okay, you have 1 minute.
Mr. Candido, I looked up to you for many reasons when I started watching the city council meetings. Most importantly, you held the council members accountable. Then a few months ago, you changed and tried to please everyone.
Speaker, this is your
After
opportunity
I called
to
out
address the council, not Mr. Candido. So you may speak to anything under the subject matter jurisdiction of this body.
This has to do with the council. I just needed to explain the first part.
So please tie it to the council's authority then.
I'm get my next line, buddy. I am trying to get there. After I called out Bob and his wife, you threatened me. Then last week, you talked about people reaching out from prison and touching me. You do what you need to do. I want everyone to know I'm not suicidal. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in who you turned out to be. When you send them, ask them to be careful.
So
I would
I'd ask
hate
you
for
to tie
something
this to
happen. One of the kids I tutor because of your ego. Smoke and Scan family, no matter what happens, love you all.
I only need 10 seconds on the items, and I just want to say it looks like there's only 4 of them on the floor right now, Grote. So please send Duarte or Graciano back there and check and make sure that our members are just hanging out back there and not off grabbing a bite. To move on to general public comment, it's absurd that we had 2 hours
1 minute for general public
and
comment.
less than an hour of public comment. I want to talk about the budget hearings coming up next week. I don't think Ugo's there right now, but you might remember that he said, hey, this budget's not perfect, but you all just really need to organize better next year. Well, Bob Blumenfield heard that and said, you're only going to get 1 day of public comment for budget hearings. I'm old enough to remember when Paul Krikorian proudly said, we don't do that here. We hear from the public every day to maximize participation. And you have it on May Day of all days. How many labor unions, immigrant rights groups are all organizing protests on that day, that afternoon? Many of you are going to be off speaking there and talking about how much you care about them. And you can't even make the time to have a budget hearing where we can hear from him. Bob's been drunk on power since becoming chair, and I just hope you all keep mind of that. Y'all can't show up to city council on time. Just amazing. Karen Bass is talking about how we need to talk face-to-face instead of through tweets, but you can't have sufficient public comment. This is all just really, really absurd.
And Mr. Kwan, your time has expired. Next caller.
Shout out to Smoke and Scan. Again, I'm not against marijuana. I'm just against putting all these marijuana shops out in the public in the neighborhoods. So again, we'll go to 57, Hillside Villa. Like was said, forgiveness on that rent would be better suited than giving him a blank check like the United States did to the auto industry, and all the CEOs walked away with a fat paycheck. Now, saying that you did not know about this budget and it's too short, I told you 2022 in November this was coming because I've seen the numbers. Even though I didn't win, I still care about this community and the city. There is situating that you guys have for 57. You can forgive that rent back before you cut that guy a check. Ms. Hernandez, you just heard all those people say the gentleman in apartment 8 is threatening them and hired by the owner. Please look into that as a serious threat. I hate when a person calls in and sounds like a sexual predator about all the women in this industry and talks about Denim Day. Every time he speaks, it's something nasty like that. But again, I'm not addressing him. I'm addressing the council. Public comment.
Okay, you have 1 minute for general public comment.
Vaccination. Okay, vaccination from the United States. How do we expect them to go into Gaza or anywhere else and tell the people that we are allies with, like Israel, and say, hey, stop the war? We're not. We took Mexico, we took Texas, and we became the United States. We're not going to tell anybody to do what they are doing because we did it too. Sorry for being a historian, but yeah, in 1845, this happened. So we need just to stop the war. It's not one side or the other. I don't want to see anyone die. And I'm tired of hearing people using the kids as a propaganda of why we have to get involved. We need to get involved because it's a human right to live. And we're supposed to take care of each other. God bless you all. Have a blessed day.
Good afternoon, you pieces of shit.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
War pigs. I'm calling for public comment. It's Shelly Babe.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Please begin.
Damon, it's Dinks. I have a dream team at Smoke and Scan. And I would like to give you a quote, which you probably will not listen to because you're all busy being communist war pigs. The best way to take control over people and control them utterly is to take a little of their freedoms at a time, to erode rights by 1,000 tiny and almost imperceivable reductions. In this way, the people will not see the rights and freedoms being removed until it is past the point at which these changes cannot be reversed. That's a quote from Pat Miller. Willfully ignorant. People wake up. They don't give a shit. They live in their mansions with their armed security, and they don't give a shit about any of your problems. As long as we're fighting amongst each other, they're very happy. That's what war pig, scumbag, communists do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is for both items. And, you know, it's a perfect example of how you do everything you can for this item, that item, and all the others for that matter, and you simply suppress public input. You suppress input on 24 by 3 hours of presentations. You suppress input on item number 25 by 3 hours of presentations, vague rules, and move it around. And the only reason you're calling for exhausting 24 and 25 is because there are consequences for it. So So to the public that's listening, this is how it's
This
done.
is
whether
not about
they're-
a business
whether
improvement district.
It actually is. It actually is. I'm talking about how only when you have consequences like you do on 24, so pay attention, Harris Dawson, and like you do for 25 business improvement districts, it's only when there are consequences for not exhausting public comment that you actually take public comment. You will do everything else to limit and silence your constituents, whether or not you're DSA endorsed, whether or not you're Armenian, whether or not you're a dancer, your parent was a gardener. For the business improvement districts, which have legal ramifications for not exhausting public comment, this is what your council is doing to you, public. Think better next time you have a vote at the on election day.
I'm so happy that I get to speak about business improvement districts. I'm so glad that I waited for this whole meeting between my limited break between work shifts to speak about 24 and 25 business improvement districts.
Go ahead.
So I think the biggest thing that would improve business would be if workers and families could afford to spend money on things besides rent and food. That would improve business, wouldn't it? I wonder what the funding and rationale behind how business improvement districts function really is. What would improve businesses would be if workers could live in the same neighborhood where they work, and then they wouldn't have a long commute, and it'd be easier for them to be on time. They could get a better night's rest, and then they'd be better employees to keep the gears moving in this capitalist wasteland that all you do is vote to uphold, even grifters like Nithya Raman and Hugo Soto Martinez and Eunices Hernandez. So we should be improving these districts for the sake of business, but I'm wondering why we're going about it in ways that don't put money in people's pockets so they can go support businesses, that don't support workers so they can support businesses, and just subsidize greedy developers who build shitty things and then charge up the ass for it. Shout out to Smoke and Scan, Richard Hop, Brock Landers, my husband Christopher, who's my favorite, who I love the most.
So I'm going to need you to stick on topic for items 24 and 25.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about. All these people, they improve business by being good citizens. Unlike the council body that grifts the public, that doesn't improve business. I don't understand how anything you do improves business when you waste the public's time for 2 hours on presentations, and then give us limited time to speak. You'd think that all the businesses around City Hall would have...
Caller, your time has expired. Next caller.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So you are you here for items 24 and 25?
Yeah, those are the business improvement districts, correct?
Correct. So you have 2 minutes for the items. Please begin.
All right, cool. Thank you very much. It's nice to have you back. You know what would really improve business is if you just drew random circles on the map within the city's jurisdiction and just cut the rent for those businesses in half. The main thing that is driving all these businesses out of business is that they can't afford their overhead. They can't afford to pay rent. They can't afford repairs on their businesses because they can't afford the rent. They can't afford to pay their employees because they can't afford the rent. So whatever these business improvement districts are, which pretty much involve getting people that they already know behind closed doors to have their businesses have first stake at whatever little cut of the pie they already claimed. It's all bullshit. We really need to be lowering rents for these businesses so that they can actually afford to lower the prices and they can pay the workers more. Instead, you're just turning every single neighborhood into a ghost town in random succession. And then the developers take advantage of that. And then you use metro corridors to justify building 7-story buildings in little neighborhoods where the rents are even too high for people that would need to live in an apartment can afford. And then they can't go to those businesses. So you guys are all fucking up everything. And there's clearly not a plan other than to just build for your buddies and all your capitalist war pigs. So fuck yourselves, pay attention to the public, and I hope somebody, doesn't sneak in anything past the metal detectors, like made of wood or anything, and do anything, upsetting to any of the council members. I hope no one does that.
So this is not
nobody
on topic.
sneaks in,
I need you to stick to items 24 and 25.
Or even like a bag of glitter and just dump it on Krikorian. No one do that.
Okay,
no
so
one
you've been warned. Next caller.
Actually, I go along with the previous caller in that if you do not take care of the businesses, they cannot take care of their employees. Thereby, the employees won't have a place to live. And please stop violating the Brown Act. I have been on the phone
this is not
for
on
3
the
hours
agenda.
and 34
You need
minutes.
to speak to items 24 and 25 only, or we're going to move on to the
That's
next caller.
okay. I'm done. I spoke to his 20.
Okay, so next caller.
Caller ending in 1403, please press star 6 to unmute.
Okay. I'm being told that is Mr. Spindler, who's on the phone. I also see that his arm or shoulder is moving furiously. So, Mr. Spindler, you have been warned not to disrupt this meeting already.
So yes, please, we'll ask the sergeants to escort Mr. Spindler out of the chambers. You continue to disrupt the meeting even after you've been asked to leave. Please leave the chambers quietly.